up strong and they fought out loud. On July 6th, the stars did clash. The birth of fire, the great American bash. Raise that flag, let the eagles scream. This is more than a fight, it's the American dream. From steel cages to patriotic flair, red, white, and blue in the summer air, where legends fall and legends rise with grit and glory in their eyes. This is our fight, our soul, our flash. This is the great American bash.
By the mid-1980s, professional wrestling was undergoing nothing short of a seismic shift. Vince McMahon's World Wrestling Federation had broken away from the National Wrestling Alliance and was pursuing a bold, aggressive strategy to expand beyond its regional roots.
Indeed, and this expansion was fueled by a combination of national cable television exposure, crossover appearances with celebrities, and the commercial success of WrestleMania in March of 1985. The effect was tremendous pressure on the long-standing territory system, which had sustained professional wrestling for decades.
And you could see the impact everywhere. Many traditional NWA territories were folding or barely hanging on as the WWF moved into their markets and even seized their TV time slots. The territorial structure was collapsing, and in response, Jim Crockett Promotions, the strongest NWA stronghold in the Mid-Atlantic, began crafting a new strategy to compete at the national level.
Jim Crockett Promotions, under the leadership of Jim Crockett Jr., was absolutely determined to counter the WWF's national expansion and keep the NWA at the forefront. Early 1985 turned into a pivotal time. Just after the first WrestleMania, Crockett made a bold play. He purchased Georgia Championship Wrestling's TV time slot on Ted Turner's superstation, TBS, from McMahon. That move restored NWA programming to a true national cable audience, giving Crockett Promotions a coast-to-coast platform overnight.
And around that same period, Crockett also acquired Ole Anderson's Championship Wrestling from Georgia and was re-elected NWA president. With Booker Dusty Rhodes by his side as a creative partner, the aim was ambitious, to create, in essence, a united NWA. The plan was to consolidate what was left of the territories and spotlight the best talent under the NWA banner on larger and more spectacular events. It was a classic example of attempting to adapt tradition to modern demands.
In 1984 and 85, Crockett joined forces with Verne Gagne's AWA, Jerry Jarrett's Memphis group, and others to form Pro Wrestling USA. The concept was to present joint supercards loaded with talent from multiple territories like Super Clash in September 1985. Now, the alliance eventually collapsed due to promoter egos, but it paved the way for Crockett to push forward on his own. His Mid-Atlantic stronghold effectively became the flag bearer for the NWA, staging events that could stand toe-to-toe with the WWF's biggest extravaganzas.
It was in this climate that the idea for the Great American Bash came to life in 1985. Dusty Rhodes as head booker and top star, along with Jim Crockett Jr., envisioned a massive summer super show that would ride JCP's growing momentum. Their vision wasn't just another wrestling card. It was a patriotic festival designed to grab headlines and pull in a huge live crowd. July was chosen right around Independence Day to hammer home the Great American theme. And where else but Charlotte, North Carolina, the heart of Crockett country, to stage it.
Precisely. Crockett took a calculated gamble by selecting an outdoor stadium, betting his loyal Mid-Atlantic fan base would turn out in droves, and they sweetened the pot with more than wrestling. Country star David Allan Coe was booked for a full concert, giving the affair a carnival atmosphere. During that performance, several wrestlers, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, Magnum T.A., and Jimmy Valiant, appeared on stage, entertaining the audience and blurring the lines between sport and spectacle. This blending of music, patriotism, and wrestling was carefully engineered to distinguish the Bash as an extraordinary event.
And extraordinary it was. On July 6, 1985, the first Great American Bash drew nearly 27,000 fans into Charlotte's American Legion Memorial Stadium. The show opened with patriotic flair, the Freedom Challenge setting American heroes against foreign villains. Posters were painted red, white, and blue. Fireworks closed the night, and the whole atmosphere felt like a holiday festival mixed with a rock concert. JCP hyped it heavily on TBS, and the response validated Crockett's approach. It wasn't pay-per-view yet closed circuit in some places, but for that live crowd, it was a mega-sized house show that proved Jim Crockett Promotions could rival anything the WWF had to offer.
Television was the key, and by the spring of 1985, Jim Crockett Promotions had reestablished World Championship Wrestling on TBS, and that gave them national reach. The Bash was hyped week after week with promos from the biggest names, like Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, the Koloffs, all hammering home why July 6th was must-see.
And that was all part of a bigger strategy using TBS's national platform to turn regional shows into national attractions. Now, pay-per-view wasn't fully established yet, so Crockett also experimented with closed-circuit TV in select cities. It wasn't as widespread as later events, but it gave more fans a chance to see the Bash live. That step showed how JCP was already thinking beyond just the live gate, building toward a larger national presence.
Quite so. Crockett also applied the production knowledge gained from running Starrcade closed-circuit broadcasts. The Bash featured multiple camera crews, ensuring the spectacle could be recapped for television and even preserved for international coverage. Japanese wrestling magazines, for example, carried photos and reports from the event, demonstrating that the Bash had drawn attention far beyond the United States.
And from a business standpoint, it was a resounding success. The huge crowd and varied ticket prices made it a financial win, but more importantly, it proved JCP could run stadium shows. This laid the groundwork for future tours. Crockett's formula blended local appeal, hometown heroes, and familiar feuds with special attractions like celebrity concerts and outside talent. It was smart promotion, adapting to the WWF era by adding spectacle while still keeping the NWA's hard-hitting, tradition-driven style in the ring.
Now here's the interesting wrinkle. Jim Crockett Promotions actually contracted out a company called NEMA, which stood out for National Electronics Mobile Operations. They were based right out of Rock Hill, South Carolina, just across the line from Charlotte. And no, they weren't submarines sinking battleships. This NEMA had trucks outfitted with state-of-the-art recording and editing equipment.
Correct. NEMA was among the first independent outfits with mobile production trucks capable of capturing live arena shows and then helping with the editing afterward. That was a big difference compared to what fans saw on World Championship Wrestling at 6:05 on TBS. Those studio tapings at Techwood Drive were done live to tape in the morning, with Dusty Rhodes in the back on a headset giving cues to David Crockett and Tony Schiavone. Virtually no edits. What you taped at 11 a.m. went back on air at 6:05 that same night.
Right, and that's what marked the transition period. Crockett was still leaning heavily on Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, hosted by Bob Caudle and Johnny Weaver, plus Worldwide Wrestling with David Crockett and a rotating color commentator. But with the TBS slot now his flagship and companies like NEMA providing big-time production, Crockett was clearly shifting gears, laying the groundwork to compete head-to-head with Vince McMahon's WWF on a national stage.